As Art Dubai enters its 17th edition in March of 2024, we have with us the executive director of Art Dubai, Miss Benedetta Ghione. Miss Benedetta, hi, and welcome to UAE Trailblazers. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for having me.
So, you have such an interesting role. It's certainly very unique. How did you get into the art business, and how do you then get into becoming the executive director of Art Dubai?
Well, it's been a journey.
Yeah.
I come from a family of art lovers and collectors. So I had the fortune, I think, of being taught from a very young age about the importance of art and culture and the power of artists, which set me up really well. I studied and worked in London for a number of years. I worked in amazing institutions such as Sotheby's and a number of leading international galleries.
Yep.
And then I think I recognized an opportunity in terms of Dubai. I felt that the city was at an inflection point culturally. I saw that there was a possibility, a lot of ambition, and a lot of new ways of doing things in culture. I came to Dubai for my role with Art Dubai, which has evolved over the past 8 years. And I've been lucky enough to grow with the fair and with the broader Art Dubai group.
Nice. And had you been doing other kind of art exhibitions while you were overseas? Had you been kind of involved in that? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I'm an art specialist by training. So I'm very kind of well-versed in the work of looking at artworks and understanding their value, their importance.
Yeah.
But what Dubai and my role with Art Dubai has really given me is that bigger picture understanding of the role of culture within society. So not just the artworks and the artists, but also what can you do for a city, for a country, for a region through the power of art, of education, of culture.
And that brings me to my next question, which is, what do you think, in your opinion, makes Art Dubai such a kind of a different platform or such a unique platform for Middle Eastern artists?
I could talk about this all day.
Yeah.
There's a few, it is my thing. There are a few things that are quite unique, I think, about the Art Dubai model. Some of them, I think, are also reflective of the city that we operate in. The first one, I would say, is the geography we represent. You know, we're not really trend followers. We picked a strategy and we followed it. And our strategy was to represent the best of the city, of its cosmopolitan nature, of the extended area that we call the Global South that we represent, and to showcase artistic talent from regions that are maybe underrepresented in other places. The second point of difference, I think, is our focus on capacity building, on education, on thought leadership. As an art fair, we are quite unique in the amount of public programming that we do, on the role that education plays within our program, from our children's program all the way to programs for artists, curators, thought leaders. We have an extensive talks program. This is to do with the notion of helping build the cultural ecosystem of the city. So we play this role of being an institution beyond the role of being a commercial platform, which is obviously what an art fair is at the core. And I think the third thing that's quite unique about Art Dubai is the way in which it redefines specific art histories. So for example, through Art Dubai Modern, we're looking at modernists from the Middle East and the broader region, and we're really putting their stories in the bigger context of Western art history. And in many ways, we're for the first time introducing them to mainstream audiences.
And I think that's very interesting because, you know, when people look at Art Dubai, for example, they see it as just this whole one kind of big fair, but they don't know that there's these different sections that are really important and that really kind of tell the story of what Art Dubai is. So
we have four main sections in the fair. We have the contemporary section, which represents about 65% of the art that we showcase. And this is leading galleries showcasing artworks mostly from the Global South, or with the Global South as a focus. We have the Bawaba section, which are young presentations. These are 10 solo projects. It's curated by Emiliano Valdés this year, and the theme is healing. And this is really about new proposals and allowing for focused attention on one artist at a time in any one given booth.
Okay.
And in parallel to the Bawaba section, we also have the commissions program, which is also curated by Emiliano this year, and which is taking this notion of healing. So I guess the power of art and of artists to create and affect healing, both within themselves, so within ourselves as individuals, and within their broader communities, which is something that obviously hugely resonates at this time of difficulty and unrest globally.
Yeah.
Then we have our Dubai Modern, which is going to have over 15 modernists showcased. These are from Lebanon, Uganda, Sri Lanka, Syria. And what they have in common in this section curated by Dr. Cristiana Bonin is that they all had experiences studying in the Soviet Union. So we look at those relationships and that impact. And then we have our Dubai Digital, which is our kind of newcomer section. It's now in its third edition. And what we're doing there is we launched the section as the only dedicated section to digital art of any fair internationally. Yeah. And it's trailblazing in terms of defining what you mean by digital art. So this is NFTs, but it's also VR, it's AR, it's AI, it's robotics, it's all sorts of new and exciting technologies that we believe really have the possibility of impacting future artistic production. And what we want to do is ask the question, could Dubai be a nascent digital art center or capital? And that was the bet in starting our Dubai Digital. The section is growing year on year, garnering increasing interest and really becoming a point of difference for the fair.
Amazing. And I just want to go back a little bit into what you were talking about, the covering the global south. So can we just go into, because there are some terms that maybe some people, don't know, and we want people to know them so that they can get excited about Art Dubai. So the global south, that is, a different kind of part that you're covering also. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yes. So I think, traditionally, the global south is understood as a geographical and an economic term. But what we really want to do is to showcase the range of human stories and histories that are somewhat connected by shared experiences. And these are shared social experiences, so diasporic communities, but not necessarily understood in terms of, being an African artist, as an example. You could very well be an artist of African descent, but be working in London or Paris. But your visual vocabulary, your language, your inspiration may come from your history, from that of your family, and I guess from the trajectory of your life as it relates to the wider social context. So that's really what we mean. It's a very personal kind of term that reflects the lived experiences of the artists that we champion.
And I really love the concept or the theme of healing that you guys have kind of now put together for the artists to exhibit. Why? I mean, I think a lot of people know why, especially this year, but can you go into it a little bit?
Yeah. It's interesting because when we start the process of putting the fair together, so this is like the summer, you know, people usually ask us, what's the theme, right? And at that time, there very rarely is one. And there's a sort of organic process of themes or threads of content emerging. And they emerge quite naturally and organically. And I think they really represent what is in the air in a certain way. And we're big believers, obviously, of the power of art to put us outside of our own lived experience, to allow us to understand life from the eyes and the viewpoint of people other than our own, who have very different experiences from the ones that we have. That's sort of what the most powerful art does, right? It allows you to live lives other than your own. I'm talking about fine art, but writing, music, performance has that sort of transformative power. And that just sort of emerged in us putting together the Bawaba section and the performances under the theme of the commission.
Yeah.
This notion of healing from the most personal to the societal and the large scale. So you have some artists who are really looking at it as personal practices,
Yeah.
yoga, meditation, healing ceremonies. And you have others who are really thinking about it systematically in terms of, what large scale change can affect the notion of healing for a society, for a country.
That's very interesting. And it's interesting how it kind of came up organically, not even kind of planning it. Was it recent that you had come up with that theme?
So I think, it sort of starts bubbling and then you recognize, you go like, oh, there's a bit of that here and there's a bit of that here. And I should also mention that coincidentally or not, this is also represented in other parts of the program because we have a number of partners with whom we work and they usually produce new content, new commissions. So for example, Clinique La Prairie is bringing Palestinian artist Sarah Naim, who is creating a new work for the Clinique La Prairie Longevity Lounge at the fair. And that work also touches upon healing. And similarly, Julius Baer is presenting the next iteration of its Global Next initiative at the fair. And it's going to be a very sort of amazing large-scale installation by digital artist Krista Kim. And it's called Heart Space. And what she's looking at with that installation is the notion of the heartbeat and the centrality of humanity within a world of increasing digitalization and AI and all of its dangers. She's basically saying what we have that makes us human is going to be our heartbeat as a sort of ID imprint. Yeah. So again, I guess all of these themes are somewhat kind of connecting and coming together.
That's very interesting. I think that's beautiful also that it's very kind of relevant to what's going on right now. And I think people will be able to relate. And when they walk into Art Dubai, maybe they'll feel a sense of relief in a way that they're not alone, that they are, that they're feeling that the society itself here in Dubai, the community itself is really together.
Absolutely. And it's something that I say again and again, because to many people, an art fair feels like a bit of a scary experience. People don't know necessarily that tickets are available for purchasing, that we welcome very much the general public, families, children. We have a number of children's workshops under the year I'm holding children's program every year. And that this is very much meant to be an experience for all to enjoy. It is one of the largest gatherings of art in the country and in the region. So the idea is very much to be a force of unity and of community and not only a commercial platform, although of course at the heart it is.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, let's talk about your role a little bit as a executive director. Now, what role do you play in the strategic direction of Art Dubai? And have there been any challenges that you faced in doing such a unique role?
So first of all, I should say that I am incredibly fortunate to work with an amazing team who are a daily inspiration. So whatever Art Dubai is the work of many, many brains and hearts. And I guess the role is a little bit traffic controller. Okay. So you're trying to understand the priorities, opportunities, challenges, and you're trying to sort of regulate the overall music.
Orchestrator.
That is played. And then I think the other role is to be sort of head cheerleader of specific elements that one may recognize individually or as a group that are really worth exploring, right? And then you're there to try and push those things forward and to troubleshoot along the way and allow them to happen very much with the support of the team.
What's your favorite part of that job?
Many.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky. Yeah. I think it's an amazing role. I think my two very favorite things are, I love the actual event. I think there is something about the magic of something not being there and then it comes together, it happens and it disappears, much like, a circus or a dream is something that I think is really powerful. And the strength of that coming together and of having to be there. It's something that you need to experience in person, and the magic of people congregating and bringing their energy to it is something that I think is powerful. The other thing that I think is unique in my role is the ability I have to work on the bigger picture strategy of helping elevate Dubai as a global cultural hub, because of the role that the fair plays and the fact that it is a sort of institution that we work closely with the government in trying to identify opportunities for the growth of the cultural sector in Dubai. Although I sit in my chair as traffic controller of the fair, I'm also fortunate enough to be able to think alongside many other great minds on what can we do for Dubai and with Dubai's unique DNA to help position it on the global stage.
What do you think artists here in the UAE can do, or the Middle East, I would say, in the global south? What can they do to be able to participate in such a big fair like Art Dubai?
So, for us, it's the dream, right? What we want more than anything is to help bring up alongside ourselves a whole cultural ecosystem. And artists and creatives are obviously the beating heart of any artistic scene. So the first thing I would say is we're very much cheering them on and wanting them to be part of the fair. I think what's important for any artist or creator is finding your superpower, right? What is unique and different about you? What do you have to say that no one else could say in general or quite in the same way as you would be able to? And then staying true to that and staying the course. We are in a relatively young ecosystem. I think we're very rapidly reaching an impressive critical mass, but there are things that are still new that we are doing. As an example, we're going to be unveiling later this month and coinciding with the fair a major new work of public art.
Okay.
And this is part of a large-scale strategy that we have with Dubai Culture we've been working on for a number of years. And in many ways, it's going to be a first. Okay. I won't give away too many of the details, but the process of that really kind of made me think, and it made me realize that although in many ways the ecosystem has grown rapidly and exponentially here, in other ways we are still young, right? And a lot of these marks that we are making on the physical, landscape of the city are being made for the first time.
100%.
So as an example, this large-scale permanent work, which is going to be opposite the Etihad Museum and in dialogue with it, has been a bit of a journey in terms of its creation and the process of putting it together and some of the logistical challenges which you inevitably have with such projects. And I like to think that, in 10 or 15 years' time, when we look back and hopefully the sculpture will be there and very much part of, the geography of the city 100%. And I hope a landmark, we'll have forgotten some of, the trials and tribulations. And I think that's an important part of being in a relatively young context. You want to look at the opportunity and be excited and push forward and take those opportunities that might not be available elsewhere, but not get discouraged by some of the setbacks that are inevitable.
100%. But can you tell us a little bit about the installation, or do we have to wait, or the artist maybe that?
No, that is the thing that I cannot tell you about. But what I can say, absolutely. But what I can say is that there's going to be a bit of a twist.
Okay.
So what happened last year is 5 artists were shortlisted and announced for this major new landmark commission. And the work is going to be unveiled in only a couple of weeks. So you don't have very long to wait.
Great.
But I encourage everyone to go and look at it. It will be opposite the Etihad Museum. And once the work is unveiled, I think its message will be revealed. And I think it's a really important and powerful message for the UAE. So we're really delighted with it.
We're very excited then. Okay, well, speaking of future projects, what do you think are some of the latest trends or predictions you see in the art world, or something that Art Dubai is really keen on exploring?
So, I think I'll come back to digital art for this because I think there's a unique opportunity there. I think there are generations younger than myself that are very much digitally native, and for whom the digital language and world is in a way their first language. You know, whether we think that that's a good thing or not is a different problem. But they really think visually through that spectrum. And I think that presents an opportunity for artistic creation to really dialogue with digital art. This may mean, you know, a traditional artist exploring using digital tools in their work, or it could also mean new generations of artists that are digital artists first, you know, that is their first language. I think it's also going to be a big opportunity in terms of building bridges between collectors who collect what we call analog art and others that may be better versed in digital arts collecting. And I think that creating those bridges and opportunities for dialogue is really where our Dubai Digital sits. And that was the ambition of creating the section. And that's why it's something that we're really committed to, and we've continued to grow year on year.
That's really interesting. And actually, I'm going to ask you something that I'm just personally curious about. I mean, what does it look like for someone to be a digital collector?
So it could look very much the same as being a traditional collector. So you could go to someone's booth and you could buy an artwork and you could bring it home. It could be a screen with moving images. It could be a stick. You know, with an NFT or other type of digital work. But it could also be a work of video art. It could be an installation with sound and moving image. I think we're very much at the early stages of exactly what it could look like. So for people at the moment, it looks like a TV screen within which, you know, moving image is displayed. But I think what we need to understand is the opportunities of the media are endless, right? So things like VR, anything sort of mixed reality, immersive experiences, the notion that one day you could be within your home and be surrounded by a 100%. Piece of digital art, I think are not very far away. So the question is in part, what does it look like today? But I think more compellingly, what could it look like in the immediate future?
In the immediate future. And I think it's great because I think people need that like invitation to really start accepting the movement into digital art and the movement into digital collection, because